presence, fill our praise, fill our praise. Come and let your presence fill this place. So come and let your presence fill our praise, fill our praise. So come and let your presence fill this place. So come and let your presence fill our praise, fill our praise. So come and let your presence fill this place. So come and let your presence fill our praise, fill our praise. So come and let your presence fill this place. Oh, Jesus, shine through all these praises that we sing, hey. Come to love you in this place. We have come to give you highest praise, highest praise. We have come to love you in this place. Oh, we have come to give you highest praise, highest praise. We have come to love you in this place. Oh, you highest praise, highest praise. We have come to love you in this place. We have come to give you highest praise, highest praise. We have come to love you in this place.
Take me to the river.
words that fade never enough. Then you came along and you put me back together, and every desire is now satisfied here in your love. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing better than you. Oh, there's nothing
So as you just heard, this is the third Sunday of Advent. And for some reason, I've always loved the Advent season. I can remember being 13, 14 years old, and I asked my parents if I made an Advent wreath, if we could read the stories and light the candles every Sunday at dinner. They said absolutely. And I can't remember why I loved the Advent season as a kid. Maybe it was all the miracles or the virgin birth. Maybe it was the angels that appeared. They appeared to Elizabeth, and they appeared to Zechariah. They appeared to Joseph and Mary, and they appeared to the shepherds in the fields. I don't know. But to me, it was the stories were just mesmerizing. They were awe-inspiring, and they were filled with joy. And it's that joy I want to talk about this morning. So I'm going to ask you to do something. Raise your hand and tell me what your joy is for this morning. I'm joyous that I have a wife who loves me like Jesus does.
That I'm here today.
New babies.
New babies, yeah.
And old ones.
Yeah.
I'm joyous my Louisville gig is almost over.
Amen.
Waking up.
Waking up. God's giving you another day. Yeah.
Having my friends and my family.
Having your friends and your family. These are all great things to be joyous for. And thanks for sharing. See, I ask you this day because I'm really not seeing that much joy in the world. I'm really not hearing about that much joy in the world. A couple weeks ago, the first Sunday of Advent, Rick talked about the peace, joy, and love that comes with worshiping Jesus. And that we need to find that joy, especially during this time of the year. And today I'm going to focus on the joy part of his message. See, this time of the year, we sing about joy. We talk about the joy of Christmas, the joy of the season. And have you been out to the stores lately? I'm not seeing joy on many of the faces I see. I'm seeing scowls of anger. I'm seeing very anxious people trying to buy the things on their Christmas list, making sure that they buy that right thing for that very special someone. They're stressed out about preparing that perfect Martha Stewart dinner for their families that they probably don't want to spend time with anyway. They're stressed about finding that little toy for little Johnny or little Jane that they had to have, but it's stuck on a boat off the coast of California. And they grab and play with the boxes anyway. But on that first Christmas, it says in Luke, chapter 2, verses 8 through 10. And there were shepherds living out in the fields nearby, keeping watch over their flocks at night. An angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news that will cause great joy for all the people." It doesn't say some of the people. It doesn't say most of the people. It says all of the people. And if we believe this, then where is the joy? Where is the laughter? Because, man, it is good to laugh, isn't it? I read where a child laughs 400 times a day on average. An adult, only 15. Which makes no sense to me since laughter feels so good. And it's really so good for us. And that statistic reminds me of one I read from prison. That on the outside, we make 250 decisions a day. Where on the inside, they make 15 decisions a day. So are we, as adults, are we, as believers in Christ, prisoners to our own stress, our own anger, our own anxiety? And I don't get it. When we believers have so much to be joyful about. We're the only people with a resurrected God. That alone should bring smiles to our faces and joys to our heart and laughter. It's good for the soul. Jesus said in Luke chapter 6, verse 21, "Blessed are you who hunger now, for you will be satisfied. Blessed are you who weep now, for you will laugh. There was this country preacher who decided to skip services one Sunday and head to the hills and do some bear hunting. As he rounded the corner on the trail, he and a bear collided, sending him and his rifle tumbling down the mountainside. Before he knew it, his rifle went one way and he went the other, landing on a rock, and he broke both his legs. That was the good news. The bad news was the bear was charging at him from a distance and he couldn't move. "Oh Lord," the preacher said, "I'm so sorry for skipping service today to come out here and hunt. Please forgive me." Oops. I think I ran out of battery. He said, "Please forgive me and grant me just one wish. Please make a Christian out of that bear coming at me." In that very instant, the bear skidded to a halt, fell to his knees, clasped his paws together, and began to pray out loud right at the preacher's feet. "Dear God, please bless this food I'm about to receive." That's funny. It's good to laugh. So this morning, I'm going to give you a prescription for joy. This isn't just for the Christmas season, but for our entire lives. See, now, were you aware that joy was an acronym? And an acronym it stands for something else. I didn't either until I woke up one morning and it just kind of came to me. And being that we're in church, you can give me the churchy answer. What does the J stand for? That's right. You guys are on top of your game this morning. Think about it. If we put Jesus first in our lives will become better and more joyful. If we live for Jesus, our lives will become better and more joyous. See, Jesus, he's given us each gifts. And I use plural because I believe he gives us more than one gift. We need to discover what these gifts are, nurture them, and use them for his glory. See, if these gifts are from Jesus, and I do believe they are, don't you believe that using them in a way that's pleasing to him will bring him joy? And if we're pleasing Jesus, won't that joy return to us? But it's like anything else that's important in our lives or anything that we want to be good at. It takes work. And the work goes back to putting Jesus first, the J in our joy. It means we have to know what Jesus' will is for our lives. We have to know what Jesus wants for our families, what he wants for our communities, what he wants for our world. And the only way I know to do that is by getting into his word. And we can do this many ways. We can read and study the Bible. We can attend small groups where Jesus' words can be discussed openly and honestly. I've learned so much by going over to Greg Truesdale's house for the past 20 years and discussing Jesus' words with my brothers. We don't always have to agree on everything, because depending upon where you are in your life, Jesus' words may mean something different to you than they do to me. It's one of the beauties of Jesus' words. They speak to where you are in your journey. See, another way I find it's helpful in discovering what Jesus' intentions are for my daily life is to read daily devotionals. Marcel and I have two. One was given me by a friend here at Cobblestone, and the other one was given to us by my mom. More on that later. But I try to get up in the morning and read these devotionals before I leave to work. So I can hop in my truck, turn off the radio, and think about and meditate on what Jesus' words mean for me that day. Sometimes, for whatever reason, I don't read those devotionals in the morning, but I try to read them later in the day, just to keep Jesus' words fresh in my head. And I can come up with all different kinds of reasons and excuses why I don't. There are days that I don't do it at all. But it wasn't a priority for me that day. But the amazing thing is when I go back and read the devotion that I missed, I find that I could have used Jesus' words that day. He has a sense of humor. In Psalms 30, verse 5, it says, "For his anger lasts only a moment, but his favor lasts a lifetime. Weeping may stay for the night, but joy comes in the morning." So I believe that if we begin the morning with Jesus, his glory will be with us the remainder of the day. I also believe that attending church and listening to the music, and man, the music just speaks to me personally. And listening to who's ever speaking is a way to stay connected and grow closer to Jesus. Again, this is an opportunity to hear Jesus' word and hopefully begin discussions about what that meant for you that day. So the J is for having and developing a continuing relationship with Jesus. Any idea what the O stands for? What? Others. I've said this many times while up here giving the message. Putting others before ourselves allows us not to focus on us, but on the needs of others. See, when we combine this willingness to serve others with what we've discovered in our relationship with Jesus, the J, we'll find more joy in our lives. I believe it's important to work on the J part before we go on and work on the O part of joy. We need to know that what we're doing for others is what Jesus intends for us to do, rather than we might just be out there doing things that just make us feel good. It might not be Jesus' intentions for us at all. So doing for others should have nothing to do with us. It should have everything to do with showing others the love of Christ. And this requires humility, a very rare trait. And I'm no different. See, I found out this lesson the hard way. You know, we've been going to El Salvador for years, and we've been building houses and helping out families. I believe we built 7 houses down in El Salvador. Then Nick Verettos comes along and tells us that we're doing it wrong. Thank you, Nick. I wasn't a happy camper, honestly, hearing this from Nick. But, you know, as I listened to him, and what he felt we should be doing differently, and why, I came to the conclusion that he was right. And we needed to be more focused on helping the community rather than helping individual families. See, we were creating problems in the community by selecting families that we believed should have a house. And by default, we're selecting families that didn't get a house. We need to listen to different points of view. We can be wrong, and there might be a better way, a different way, a Jesus way, a Nick way. See, I think we all know people who attend church every Sunday, and they can recite any passage from the Bible and can even tell you what you're doing wrong in your life. But they don't do anything for others. Their joy stops with their relationship with Jesus. And I think that's sinful. Jesus does give us what we need, but he gives it to us in abundance so it can be shared. In Matthew chapter 5, verses 14 through 16, you are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify the Father in heaven. So we need to share our gifts, not hide them or keep them to ourselves. And I said I'd get back to those 2 devotionals. So here we are. I think these are great examples of people putting the O in joy and considering the needs of others. One was given to me by a friend here at Cobblestone, Tammy. I was going through a tough time, and Tammy knew about it, and she said she wanted me to have her devotional. It was and still is a wonderful gift that gives back daily. And I could tell that the book was used because there were parts that were highlighted and earmarked, and I could tell that some of these things really spoke to her. And it was a selfless gift that I'm very thankful for. The other was given to Marcella and me by my mom. So I told her just in passing that I heard about this devotional, but I couldn't find it. So my mom made it her mission to find that devotional for us. She sent my dad all over town to find it, but he couldn't. So then she recruited my niece to search for it online and find it. And when she did, my mom said to order it, overnight it, and give it to her. When she gave it to Marcella and me, it was the 15th of December, 5 days before she passed away. See, my mom knew she was dying and wasn't going to be with us much longer. But her main focus wasn't on her. It was on Marcella and me. More importantly, her focus on others was aligned with what Jesus would want her to do. She lived her life that way. And I believe that's one of the reasons that her life was filled with joy. The joy of Jesus. And she loved to laugh. And likewise with Tammy. Have you seen too many people in your lives more bubbly or joyous than her? We used to have a picture here at Cobblestone of a laughing Jesus. And I love that picture. We typically don't envision this side of Jesus, yet we know that Jesus experienced all the emotions that you and I experience. So I looked for a verse in the Bible that referenced Jesus laughing, and I couldn't find one. But I remembered the shortest verse in the Bible, which comes from John chapter 11, verse 35. Jesus wept. See, this was just prior to Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead. And I got to tell you, if Jesus was weeping at the death of his friend, can you imagine the emotions when Lazarus walked out of that tomb? I'm sure that Jesus was filled with joy. And I'll bet he laughed with Lazarus and Mary. See, I believe he was filled with joy when the children flocked to him. He was filled with joy when the deaf heard, the blind regained their sight, and the lame walked. I believe he was filled with joy when the boy gave him his lunch so that he could work a miracle and feed the thousands. I believe he was filled with joy when morning came and the women knew that he was resurrected from the dead. Everywhere Jesus went, there was joy. Everywhere Jesus went, he was doing for others, putting others first. The O in our joy. The band can come up. And lastly, can you tell me what the Y stands for? You. You need to take care of you. See, if we're continually giving to Jesus and giving to others without taking care of ourselves, we'll become this empty vessel with nothing left to give. It's like a runner or an athlete. If we're working your body hard all the time without replenishing it, it'll start feeding on itself. And that becomes very destructive to the body. You have to give yourself permission to take time for you. Whatever that looks like for you. It can be a bike ride, a yoga class. It can be time alone or a weekend getaway. But you need to take care of you. And to the spouses, parents, significant others, you need to allow that time for these people in your life. Give them that gift. Because I guarantee you, the reward is immeasurable. And please, don't think that taking care of yourself is a selfish gift. Not taking care of yourself is selfish. Because at some point, you'll become burned out and you won't be of any use to anybody. It's okay. It's necessary to refuel, replenish, recharge your soul. Jesus would often go off by himself to be alone, to be quiet, to meditate, to spend time with his Father. He needed to recharge, shake off the stress of the day so he could return to his disciples and his followers renewed. The Y in joy is just as important as the J and the O. So laugh more, take care of yourself, and don't let the stress of the world weigh heavy on you. Give them to Jesus. Now, do you realize that if you stand in front of the donut case at your favorite donut store and you calculate the calories in your head, trying to figure out if this donut is going to show up on my hips, on my stomach, or on my rear end, that you're actually doing more damage to your heart from the stress than if you simply ate the darn donut and allowed yourself to experience the joy of it. So treat yourself. Be good to yourself. Find joy in Jesus. Find joy in serving others. And find joy in taking care of yourself. Amen.